Hey kinfolk, this is Brian with the Bearded Axe, and this is
Singleton. Some of you know me already.
this is a review on the Wyvern Craft axe, the one-handed axe. And I'm going to give you an A through F grade based on various aspects of a weapon that I've formulated at night, whenever, when I'm bored. Anyway, I've thought a lot about how to grade a weapon and whether or not it's a good buy or not. And I was going to pass that on to you. But before I get into the actual review, I need to point to my sponsors or my Patreon supporters. If you guys want to be a part of the crew, head on to the Patreon page and really, think about sending your support. I've got all sorts of options, and they're all very affordable. So go ahead and check them out and join the crew whenever you can. And also, please make sure that you like, sub, share, all that good stuff. And if you have a question, if you have a comment, if you think I'm crazy or whatever, leave it down in the comments. And I interact with almost every single one of you, and I make a response to almost every one of your comments. So go ahead and leave that down in the comments. And so let's get into the review. This is the Wyvern Craft axe, the one-handed or longish one-handed axe. And I gotta say, initially, right off the bat, we're going to talk about the most superficial thing, and that is the looks. It looks great. They have the best looking weapons in the market of LARP weapon manufacturers. They are just really good. In fact, their weapons are based on actual historical finds, and they're just fantastic looking weapons. And I just think they're the best on the market. They really are. No weapon actually comes close to how they look. In fact, they're like my #1 weapon manufacturer. It's really close between that and Nemesis, and this is really, really good. It's getting there, and I think they might overtake you, Nemesis, so maybe you guys need to step up a bit. So initially, it's an A+ on looks. It just looks awesome. 20 feet away, you think this would be a real weapon, and that's high praise. And like, if we're in the middle of a public space and we're fighting, somebody might actually think we're using real weapons, and they might think this is a film. And that's a really good marker of a great weapon and well worth the investment. So, and again, that's an A+ on the looks. Now, as far as durability. So durability, we've practiced for about a month, and I gotta say that we've gone through about 200 hits, and the axe head is actually starting to separate. If you guys see here, it's starting to come loose. And I knew that was gonna happen when actually, Wyvern Craft, the representatives, came to Beakeling several years ago, and they handed me this axe, and they wanted me to do a review. And I want to do the review, but I wanted to make sure that I did it effectively. I wanted to put it through its paces and really kind of be hard on it to see how well it would perform and see how well it would work. And so yeah, we went through about 4 weeks of practice, 4 Saturdays, about 200 hits. And I have more of a 500 hit kind of a ratio where I think that would be an A+. If it can handle 500 hits of a very solid hit. God.
That's medieval.
Right. So, getting back to it, so it took about 200 hits. And so in my opinion, the durability is one of the highest marks of a weapon. I don't want to buy a weapon for 100, 150, 200 bucks and have it just fall apart at me after, maybe a season of LARPing. I don't have that kind of cash to be throwing away on a weapon every single time. Is it realistic? Probably. I mean, granted, real weapons, back in those days, they broke often. But I mean, this is the real world. I don't want to invest that kind of money in a hobby and have it break after maybe a season of LARPing. And a season of battles. And so that would give it a C-. It's passable, but it could definitely, no, I wouldn't even see a C-, a D-. It's barely passable for durability. And again, I knew that. There was no reinforcement on the bottom horn here on the outside of the foam. There is reinforcement on the inside of the axe, but I don't want to reveal too much of that to anybody else that might want to, take their techniques for themselves. I want to protect their trademark methods. But any kind of external reinforcement is, I would have to say, it's essential. that is just too floppy, and I think it could go a lot. It could be a lot better. So maybe some extra plasti dip or some more latex or something a little bit more rigid around that axe head to keep it from tearing away. And you know, the sky's the limit. There's only so many materials that you can just go out and try and experiment and try and improve that durability of that weapon. So, and again, durability, D-. It could definitely go a lot better. Handling, and again, you guys know me, I'm very much a function over form kind of guy. How well does it work? Does it actually do what it's supposed to do? Kind of. So say when we were fighting, I wanted to hook the shield and move it out. And again, that would tear, but also it's very floppy, and it really wouldn't, sometimes it wouldn't hook when I think it should. And I think it could be a bit more rigid on the bottom horn when I really wanted to move it, or likewise the top horn if I wanted to move the shield out of place. It would be nicer, but I you know, and again, there's a lot of things about the handling that I think could improve. It's a very solid core. It's not flexing, and I think they use maybe a 1/2 inch solid core fiberglass, and it's a bit heavy, which I don't mind, but it's evenly distributed. Either put it all in the handle or put it all in the axe, and it would be much more useful. If it had more head weight, I could push stuff out of the way, or just kind of move things out of the way when I want to, you know, slash or kind of hack into things. That would be nice, especially if you're fighting an armored opponent. That extra head weight would go a long way to making them know that they've been hit. And again, it's that extra weight, you know, that varies with certain people. Somebody just wants straight up super light weapons. I don't think it's, you know, that useful anymore. I think we need some more weight in the weapons, and I think that kind of helps. But I want either end, not distributed throughout the whole thing. As far as getting hit with it, what do you think? I mean, you were the victim in all of this. So how would you rate this weapon as far as, like, is it too hard? Is it too soft? What did you think?
As a happy crash test dummy, honestly, I loved how this thing felt. It hits way harder than the dag weapons I'm used to, but honestly, that's such a refreshing change of pace, especially through armor. I can tell you that I've lost a few rings to that thing. It has a good bit of oomph. And what I tend to agree with you is that it definitely has that heft behind it. When I use a really lightweight, a 14-ounce dag sword, he can command the flow of that fight and power through that super, super easily. As far as hits go, the one thing I would recommend, or I would kind of point to, and again, this is just the design, I don't know if you can improve it or not. When I'd end a day, I'd have about a 6 triangular little bruises on the back of my shoulder from that little point there. Again, I think that's just...
Horn.
Yeah, I think that's just the nature of the beast. And I did feel it, especially when we first started going, you were pushing my shield out of the way, hooking my weapon, hooking my arm a few times with that thing. And as we kept fighting, that ability to hook just kind of slowly started to ebb away. So I'm kind of echoing that sentiment a bit.
So what do you mean by ebb away? Is it...
As if it's almost like the axe is tearing a little bit and you don't have that level of control over my weapon as you did initially.
Yeah, so again, it goes back to that durability, and where that's kind of the weakest point on this whole weapon is that it'll make or break it, really. I mean, I'd pick a slightly better looking weapon if I knew it lasted me for years. You know, it's kind of like the reason why there's certain weapons that are in use 2 days, because they're super durable and they're just very reliable. And this is, you know, definitely one of those things where I would love it to be, you know, super reliable on that pedestal, and again, it just needs a bit more engineering, more research and development to bring that up to the standard. So that all being said, I would have to give this an overall grade of I would say a C plus. I would probably wait. I would say this is definitely the one of those things where I would wait for it to improve on its, you know, overall performance, handling, and durability. You know, really get those a little higher, get those leveled up a bit more before I would buy it. But if you have the cash and you hit a bit lighter, you're a lightest touch LARP, this would definitely last you quite a while. This wouldn't be an issue. But if your game tends to hit a little bit more solid, more medium to full, this probably won't last you very long at all. So yeah, and that's my, you know, my overall review of this weapon. And I love it. I really love how Wyverncraft gave it to me for free to give them a review, and I love their manufacturer. All their weapons look really, really good, and I still have one of their swords, and I'll do a definite review. I'm gonna get another one delivered, and I'm gonna kind of do a review on the one I've had for quite a while, and I'll give you another review of their weapons, and I highly recommend them. They are quickly becoming my #1 weapon manufacturer. So Nemesis, you guys better watch out. They are moving up fast. And it's not a big operation over there in Wyverncraft. There's like maybe a handful of people, tops. And yeah, they're good people. They have great customer service. They really bent over backwards to make me happy. And I, you know, I have to say that I'm really impressed with that customer service. That goes a long way with me. So yeah, that's basically it. That's my review of the Wyverncraft one-handed axe. Oh, also, as far as the handling, I wish it were longer. I wish it were a 36-inch or a 34-inch. Right around there. I would like it to be a little bit longer, but that's kind of like a personal preference thing, and your guys' miles may vary. You might like it shorter, you might like it even longer than 36 inches, but that's generally my view of this particular weapon. And so yeah, if you guys like this episode, like, sub, share, blah, blah, blah. Also, check out my Patreon page. I could really use the support. I've been in a pretty bad funk for a long time. I haven't produced a lot of videos. I'm trying to get back on track, and I could really use some support. So head on to the Patreon page and consider being a Patreon supporter. And so that's basically all I got for you today, nerds. I'm going to send you home with a be humble, be helpful, and be honorable. Thanks for watching.